Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hole in the Wall. We got a jam-packed show for you today. Big story today is first impressions of Dying Light: The Beast. Story about a nearly complete collection of alpha magic, and more stories from around the net. So, without further ado, let's get into the main topic for today. Um, I'm Nemy. This is the Bluegrass Goblin,
Hello, everyone.
and let's start talking about Dying Light: The Beast.
So, back on September 18th, developer and publisher Techland released Dying Light the Beast on PC and consoles. Dying Light, for those who do not know, it's an action adventure slash zombie survival horror kind of series. It's been going on for a while, what, like 10 years, I'd say?
Yeah, the first one came out, I believe, in 2015. So yeah, it was exactly 10 years.
Oh, wow, okay. And apparently, Dying Light the Beast was originally planned to be a DLC for Dying Light 2, but ended up becoming its own game. So, because of that, we thought it would be kind of interesting to cover. Nemy has spent some time with the game already, and we just kind of want to get his first impressions and just get some early feedback about the game. So, Nemy, how has Dying Light the Beast been treating you?
So about right now, I'm about 5 or 6 hours into the game. Not too far into it, just kind of getting the first big tutorials and missions areas out of the way. And it's awesome, to be quite frank. The combat system's very meaty and very fluid. Like you have a stamina system with your melee attacks. And for those who are unfamiliar with Dying Light specifically, it's just not a standard zombie game because they have a big parkour twist into it, but it's a first person shooter, but you're mostly using melee weapons. So they have hammers, machetes, swords, axes, things like that. And then there's a small crafting system in those where you can modify your weapons and add different effects to them. And as of right now, the combat's really good. Visually, it looks stunning. I mean, granted, my PC's pretty beefy as it is right now, but having it on max settings, it's just downright gorgeous.
Yeah,
Character models look great. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was watching you play some the other night, and that's one thing we were commenting on over and over again is, dang, this title looks really good.
Yeah, they really cooked with this one, and I was a big fan of the first Dying Light. I played that one way back in the day, and it feels like just a continuation of that. I mean, I know there's been the sequels and the spin and the expansions and stuff, but this one truly feels like a legitimate successor. I played two a little bit, but I never finished it. It just felt too floaty for me. I don't know if you've played any of the Dying Light games. Have you, Goblin?
No, I haven't. So are they like completely like single player experiences? Is it kind of like Resident Evil? Like, what's the overall vibe of the game?
So the whole series, it's a single player story, but there's co-op weaved throughout of it. So you can, if your friends have the game, you can call your friends and you can do story missions and exploration together. So you have a little squad that goes around killing zombies and the like. So, which is unique because most zombie games don't really have that. It's mostly just focused on yourself. And with the beast specifically too, I've had this come up quite a few times where you can actually call out for help, where you can send your distress beacon out into the ether, and randoms can join you and help you complete missions and stuff. So if something gets too hard, you always have people to fall back on.
Oh, it's kind of like the Dark Souls series in that way, where you put your summon sign on the ground and stuff like that, but in the other direction, where instead of going to other people's random game, you're calling out for random people to help. That's kind of unique.
Right. And story wise, this one takes place at the very end of the timeline, or at least the most recent point in the timeline. But you play as the protagonist from the first game, Kyle Crane. And after playing Dying Light 1 to Dying Light the Beast, a lot's changed because the big story beat is he's been captured and experimented on for 13 years.
Oh,
And that was the biggest thing that I was saying is like 13 years.
that, that's insane. So
Yeah.
it is the protagonist from the original game. How does the story like link up with the original game? Like without giving too much away. Like where do we end off at the end of the first one, and where do we pick back up with Kyle?
Well, funny enough, there's not too much of an explanation as of right now. There's a little blurb in the beginning about how he gets captured by the villain from the current game, but we don't know what really has happened. We just know that he's been experimented and tortured and used as a guinea pig for the 13 years. So you don't have to necessarily know too much about the first game because it takes place in a completely different area of the world. Like the main area in the first game is called Haran, which I think is supposed to be like your Middle East like type area,
Okay.
and this one takes place in the Alps of Europe, so an undisclosed European location. So not really, and there's a big time skip of 13 years, so you're not really connected with the characters other than Kyle from the first game.
Okay, so it's not like the first Dying Light isn't really required reading to get in on this one.
No, not at all. But they do have a recap in the beginning where you can see how he got to where he was. And I'm assuming as the game goes on, there'll be more flashbacks of the past. But as of right now, it's almost like it can be standalone. If you just know Kyle's story, then you have more of like an appreciation type thing. But if you're new to the series, you can jump right in and play this and not feel lost.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I feel like a lot of sequels are trying their best to go that way nowadays.
Yeah, like they want to make this established franchise, and I mean, Dying Light is pretty established. I'd say it's one of like the de facto zombie games of the generation. But they made it as accessible as they can be because I mean, not everybody plays games or follows series. So if they want to get a new hotness, this is it.
So, bringing that up, one of the things I wanted to touch on with you is how does Dying Light the Beast compare to other and the Dying Light series as a whole, in your opinion, compare to other uh, contemporary zombie games? Like, I feel like a lot of zombie games either go almost completely single player, like Resident Evil, or it's a completely multiplayer focused experience, like a Dead by Daylight or Left 4 Dead would probably be a better example here. So, like, where does Dying Light kind of fall on that spectrum?
Well, I think with this one, it's particularly different in the way that it's mostly melee focused, but it's a first person game. So you don't really see a lot of melee oriented games be a first person style. And another big thing that stands out from the other zombie games is Dying Light has a parkour system. A lot of people have harped on it because sometimes it can be a little too handholdy, and they've tried to fix that a little bit in this game. But that's the biggest thing in my opinion that stands out is just you have such a free range of movement, and it just works a little bit. It's a lot more fluid than like your other standard zombie games like Left 4 Dead, where it's mostly just like balls to the wall action. And so far with this game in particular, there's times where I've literally just jumped, like just been jump scared by zombies just in the corner, and the atmosphere and tone is just really well done. Like you're in, it takes place in this like small village in the Alps, but it feels so densely packed, and there's just zombies everywhere. And one thing that I didn't even touch on too is the day and night cycle too, which is that's another big mechanic that stands out from any of the other zombie games. Is once you're at nighttime, there are specific zombies that come out in the nighttime, only in the nighttime, just to straight hunt you down and kill you. So it's a literal like survival fest to try to get out of the nighttime, or you have to just hunker down and wait for time to pass or go to bed because there's a lot of times where they'll just straight up kill you and you don't really have much of a chance.
So are the zombies like weak to light? Is there like a particular lore reason that only some of them come out at night?
Yeah, so they're called volatiles, which they're just like straight beefy hunter styles. They almost look like Venom, just big dudes essentially. And their whole thing is that they only come out at night because they're weak to UV light. Now that's kind of like the overarching theme with the zombies in this game is UV light weakens or hurts them. So your standard zombies aren't as evolved as the volatiles are, so it just kind of like bothers them. They go, eh. but but your volatiles, like the big dudes, like if you go into a safe zone, they'll literally get burned by the UV lights, and they have to back off and run away.
Okay, so that's kind of that gives you some potential for unique gameplay moments. Like you can get a UV flashlight, like they show in the uh, art, like the splash art for the game on Steam and stuff. And like you were saying, there's safe zones, and ostensibly, I guess you could be running from a zombie and then the sun come up and kind of
Right.
that save your bacon. You were talking about the parkour system. Like on a scale from 1 to Mirror's Edge, how much parkour are we doing here?
That's the game. Essentially, it's your main form of traversal. The original game had no type of vehicles, and then they started to add those in with like the first expansion, and then this game, and I think two had it as well, but I could be wrong on that. But vehicles are not really the main form of getting around. Like running is it. And as of right now, I don't have a fast travel system, so you're doing a lot of sprinting, jumping, tumbling just to get from place to place. So they had to make it feel good, and I'd say they did a pretty good job. There's a lot you can. It's one of those games where you kind of like experiment. You're like, oh, can I jump to that? Can I make it there? Can I vault off of this? One of those where it just kind of gets your mind going, and you're able to get more creative to from getting from point A to point B.
Yeah, and I guess the village being full of zombies kind of ratchets up that tension too. Like I don't want to miss this jump because there's 15 flesh hungry zombies at the bottom of this crevice, and I don't want to miss this jump and fall and get eaten or whatever. Like, is there a like? Do you take a lot of fall damage and stuff, or are you like Assassin's Creed diving off of buildings into hay bales?
They have some of that, and I mean they don't want to make it too punishing because that's not really fun, right? I mean, granted, you're surviving in a zombie apocalypse, but you at least want to have some type of fun when you're playing it. So they do have reality breaking things like falling into trash bins, or you can actually fall on zombies too to break your fall, and it hurts them too.
Oh,
So there's
okay.
there's more there. It's pretty forgiving when it comes to fall damage. Granted, you can hurt and die if you fall too far, but it's not like it's not as extreme. Like if you go like 10 feet off the ground, you're dead or your half your health's gone.
Okay, so it seems to be like a somewhat forgiving, action oriented, melee focused zombie game. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun if that's up your alley. Did you ever play Dead Island back in the day? This is giving me major Dead Island vibes.
Well, there's a reason for that because Techland made the first Dead
Makes a lot of sense.
Island.
I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
no idea.
The more you know.
Yeah, for me, Dead Island is a game that my roommates had when I was like first out on my own, and like they got it, and we were all really excited to play. All of us were gamers and fans of like horror movies and stuff like that, and we sit down to play. And if memory serves, it was limited to either 1 or 2 players per console, and we were just so bummed out.
Yeah, it was it, but I think it really paved the way for something like this because you could see, like, even way back then, you can see the makings of something great. And Dead Island was one that was notorious. I mean, it was go down in infamy for its trailer. Do you remember that?
That's where they're at, like the nightclub, right?
No, it was the family, like the little girl falling out of the window, but everything shot in reverse.
No, I'll have to pull that up and try and put some of it here in the video edit because that sounds wild.
Oh, it's one of the best trailers like ever made. But the thing about it was like it wasn't. It was like sold as that, and then when the game came out, it like disappointed a lot of people. But me personally, I still had a good time with it. It was one of those that was different because I think it was like 2010, 2011,
Yeah, I was
where your
around that
zombie
era.
where your zombie games were mostly Left 4 Dead and it was shooters and stuff. But having this more melee focus, getting up close and personal feel with zombies just made it feel just made gave it a difference. And then they just took it another step with Dying Light in 2015, and then ran with it.
Yep. So compared to the 2015 entry, I know you haven't beat the game yet. About how many hours are you in?
I'd say about 5 or 6, so just pretty early on.
Okay. How long was the original game?
It was one of those. It was one of those like exploration style, like open world, where you could take your time and find everything. I'd say it'd be between 30 to 40 hours to
Okay.
like if going through everything. You know what I mean?
So you're really just getting your beak wet here.
Yeah.
So overall, first impressions. What do you think so far?
I think it's great. I think it's been a breath of fresh air. Before this, I was playing Metaphor Refantasio, so I got a big palate cleanser. your your turn-based RPG Atlas game to this, where I'm trying to not die every 5 seconds, being hoarded by zombies. It's fun. I've had a good time just playing it, and the story's pretty decent. Not nothing like too crazy to write home about. The opening sequence is crazy. You watched me play that, and that was a trip.
Yeah, that was wild.
But overall, yeah, if you're a fan of the zombie genre, it's a good one to hit. If you know the Dying Light series, it's that plus more. So I'd recommend it. So far, so good.
And how much was it on release?
60, believe it or not.
Okay. That's something that I've been seeing more and more lately is people talking about the rising cost of games. Apparently, Xbox might try and start its new generation as early as next year, and is talking about like raising prices on current gen consoles and stuff after October. So it's really surprising to hear that this brand new game came out at 60. Like that's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
value.
Which is wild. Is something you don't. You said, "Oh, I spent $60 for a game," and that's low these days, which is wild to me. But I can also see if you wanted to wait to get it on sale, because I'm a wait and see kind of guy nowadays, now especially that I'm big into PC gaming. But if you're hearkening for a new game, this is definitely worth. So far, it's definitely worth the price. But I can see you waiting on sale like towards the end of the year. Get it like a 20-30% off if you're looking to save a couple bucks.
Yeah, it might be a good target for that Steam winter sale. But right now is a good time of year to play it. Halloween's right around the corner. Going to be a lot of horror movies and spooky stuff all around. So it might be a good pickup for your fall gaming sessions. Anything else you wanted to share with us about Dying Light the Beast before we move on?
Weird name, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. What is the Beast? Can you dive into that without giving too many spoilers, or,
Well,
or can
this
we do a
is very,
spoiler warning maybe?
well. I don't even know if it'd be spoiler territory because it's the very first part of the game. You do well. I guess you can put a big old spoiler up here if you don't want to spoil the first hour. But you do get like a rage mode where you do act zombie like almost in a way, and you just go just crazy, just melee, putting holes in people, ripping arms off and stuff. It's honestly it's a lot of fun, honestly, but they use that word a lot, beast, and I've noticed it very. It's a big in the vocabulary of the people. And And I'm looking forward to see how that shakes up to see if there's more of it because they really are doing a dichotomy between humanity and and beast, man and beast type back and forth. So it's interesting to see how more they play on that.
Yeah, I wonder if there'll be like zombie animals or something at one point.
We shall see.
We shall see. Once you're done with the game, you'll have to come back and give us a more complete review.
Look for that in the coming weeks. Next topic. I think Goblin, you want to take this one, but a nearly complete alpha collection was found in the wild. That's unheard of. So let's hear some more about this.
Yeah, so big time content creator and enjoyer of games Charlie was recently contacted by a couple from Australia who they purported to own a complete or nearly complete, excuse me, set of Alpha Magic the Gathering. Apparently, it was the property of the father of the wife of the couple, if I'm not mistaken, and he had passed away or otherwise passed these cards down to her in some way or another. And Charlie, not being an expert, once he was contacted about these cards, reached out to the professor from Tolarian Community College, who then put him in contact with Missouri MTG, who is apparently very knowledgeable in the area of authenticating, excuse me, these old 90s trading cards. And he kind of put the stamp of approval on the collection, and Charlie flew his team out. And there's a really long video. Well, not long, but it's a good video. It's worth the 50 minutes over here on the Skill Check channel where he talks to some creators in the space. Well, it's more his team than him. Kind of talks to a couple creators in the space. Flies the couple here to the States. Goes and grades all of their like heavy hitters from the collection. And I just want to touch on a couple of the grades and values here. Like I said, the video's really long, so we're not gonna go over every card, every grade, but just to not bury the lead here, the estimated value of the collection is over 200,000 US dollars.
It's almost a house.
Yeah. And a decent one too. You're not talking no ramshackle, tiny house. That'll get you pretty far, especially if it's just a down payment. But the collection contained, this is just some highlights. There was a PSA 8 Savannah worth about $5,000 or $6,000. A PSA 9 Tropical Island that was worth about $8,000. An 8.5 Wheel of Fortune for about $8,000. An 8.5 Time Walk for $9,000. And finally, a lot of 8.5s in this collection. An 8.5 Alpha Black Lotus valued around $85,000. It is so rare for cards from the 90s to be found in this nearly pristine condition. And for all of them to be in one place is the way the skill check team puts it in the video is kind of once in a lifetime, and I think this is beyond that. This is such a rare find.
Yeah. You told me the story before we started recording, and I was like, "Whoa, what? Excuse me?" Like, I'm not 100%. I'm not too into Magic as far as the collection goes because I'm just still a relative newbie. But I know the value of the original Alpha stuff, and just hearing 8.5s and Alpha together is wild.
Yeah, it is a insane amount of money. And what's kind of heartbreaking about the video is at one point the woman whose father passed away and gifted her this collection, she said that money was always his biggest problem, and it was sad to know that this binder was just in his basement. So that just goes to show that if there, this doesn't get talked about a lot in the collectible space, and I think it does need to be talked about more. If you have a valuable trading card collection, video game collection, uh, baseball cards, action figures, whatever you may collect that has value that isn't immediately apparent, price that out at somewhat regular intervals and let your loved ones know what it's worth. Um, this these people happen to be pretty lucky that they were in the trading card game space and kind of knew what they had, but didn't really know what to do with it and just sat on it for a few years apparently. But I think it's important to let your loved ones know what your collectibles are worth. Um, if God forbid something were to happen to you.
I would second that statement highly because you hear stories all the time of especially older people who just don't know what they have or their children or grandchildren kept something just there just to have or they just found it in their basement. They don't know what they're talking about. It's just pictures to them. Like it's especially with the bubble we have right now, just across all genres of collecting with scalpers and whatnot. Values of everything are stupid high. So if it's very good PSA from the both of us. If you know somebody that has something, tell them.
Yeah, and just be honest about what your collections are worth. That's another thing. I know some people try to uh, undervalue things when the tax man comes and overvalue when they're showing it off to their friends. But ostensibly, if you were to pass away and have some very valuable collectibles, your family might need that money to help with your expenses or whatever. It's good to insure your collections too. You can do that. You can buy insurance just outside of regular renters or homeowners insurance to cover uh, collectibles. I don't exactly know a company that would do that, and I wouldn't endorse a specific company here, but that is something you can do to help further
Yeah,
protect yourself.
talk to your agents if you have them, or just go online and Google it, or go to your app. I'm sure renters insurance and homeowners insurance should cover things like that, especially if you list them out. So, but again, we're not professionals. Talk to your agents.
Yep, yep, yep. But going back to the story here, just completely amazing that this collection was found an ocean away, safely brought to the United States, graded, given back to the people who owned it, and you can just really see the joy. Again, I'm not going to play too much of the video here, but you can just really see the joy on their faces when they see the values of some of these cards and some of the grades they get. And the Black Lotus reveal they do is amazing. They pull out a little curtain and a whole little platform and stuff to unveil it on. It's a lot of fun. So if you got about an hour to kill, there's another shorter version of it over on the main Penguin Zero channel. But I thought this was a really cool video and just kind of a once in a lifetime story that I thought people might not have heard about yet.
Moving on to newer things, a new Gundam themed museum opened up in Japan not too long ago. September 2nd, a new hands on museum was opened in Bandai Hobby Center's newest factory, located in Shizuoka City, which is the heart of their gunplay or their plastic models industry. Uh, the big interactive museum with life size cutouts of your favorite Gundam models. Um, Goblin, do you want to go a little more in depth?
Yeah, I've built a few Gunpla models. I think Uh, Plamo models in general are really cool. They're like injection molded plastic, and unlike something like Warhammer, your Gundam kits are gonna have, as you can kind of see in this giant sprue here, they'll have plastic with different colors on the same sprue. And that lets you put together a model with a lot of different like colors and details and stuff without having to paint it. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with these like Plamo models. There's more than just Gundam too. Bandai makes a lot of these, and you can actually at this museum, if you look, scroll down the page here, you can get a look at their production line, which I thought was really interesting. You can kind of see these different injection molders and stuff here. These are 4-color injection molding machines, so that's just
Yeah,
not something you really commonly see in the industry.
yeah, and more than adding on that too, it looks like you can actually build your own models at the factory as well. So they have different kits and stuff that you can customize your own Gundams, and you build it in house essentially, and take your own mini mech home with you, which I think is really cool too, because museums like these are really fun for families, and just being able to be a part of the process, not just building it, but like making it yourself, like customizing how you want to do. Great for everybody.
Yeah, I was talking about some of the other lines here. Like, even if your kids, if you have a family and you're on vacation in Japan, even if your kids weren't into Gundam, there's Pokemon Plamo models, Naruto. There's even like a bonsai tree over here. Like, if you're into model building, but you're not really an anime fan. So it looks like there's a lot of different cool stuff you can get into here at this museum. Japan trip, personally for me, is on my bucket list, and I think if I ever make it out there, this is definitely something that I would want to check out.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever the channel gets big enough, we can make our trip out there and report on it more.
We'll report back to you from the production line. I gotta try and
Us,
get my
us,
hands on this Naruto kit. I didn't know that existed.
us little nerds will build them till our heart's content.
Oh yeah, if you've never built a Plamo model before, I highly recommend it. You can buy cheap ones for under $20, all the way up to something in the hundreds of dollars. But personally, I think like the $20 to $40 models are really fun to build. They're relaxing. You're not gonna really have to do anything that complicated. You'll just need like a pair of wire cutters and like maybe an X-Acto knife to kind of take the sharp plastic pieces off, but it's kind of rare that you even really need to do that with the high grade kits. But yeah, it's a really kind of a fun, relaxing hobby to get into.
So our last story for today, our moment of Zen, would you? Um, you remember Napoleon Dynamite? That
Yes,
the
yes, I do.
that movie that came out forever ago that was a cult classic? Well, Napoleon Dynamite star John Heater is making a documentary about Warhammer. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I came across this story the other day and had to email it to myself because it was so bizarre. Keeping in the vein of plastic model stories today, John Heater, as Nemy has put it before, I think it's already done or it's in process, is making a documentary about Grimdark and Warhammer 40k. I'm not a huge tabletop Warhammer fan, but I've played a ton of the video games. I really like to walk past games like at the hobby store or at conventions and stuff and see everyone's models and like the terrain and stuff they build. But we can get into the article a little bit here. Um, you want me to take the first little bit?
Yeah, read it off.
All right. So, Grimdark: The Search for John Blanche is John Heater's documentary here. Uh, so he goes on a globe-trotting journey to discover the grimdark wargaming scene lurking in the shadows of the mainstream Warhammer 40k fandom. What emerges is a far-reaching exploration of the history, personalities, aesthetics, and motivations that have inspired this art style and style of gameplay, capped with an interview with John Blanche, the grandfather of modern grimdark media. It's a far-reaching topic. The grimdark, aka 28 wargaming scene, can claim multiple origins. Aesthetically, it owns much to the Baroque and Gothic illustration that John Blanche infused into Warhammer 40k during his tenure as studio art director at Games Workshop, which has begun seeping into popular culture since 1987. We could also point to the tight-knit circle of extremely talented hobbyists who orbited around Blanche in the 2000s, who organized high-effort single-day wargame events with bespoke miniatures, exquisite battlefields, and custom rules. These were showcased first in the Blanchitsu column in White Dwarf, and from 2018, the digital community created 28 magazine.
Cool. Just adding on to that, just more on the was reading more. It looks like this documentary starts with Heater knowing nothing about Warhammer or anything, and essentially just learns about its past and history as he goes on, which I think is really cool. Especially like you said, we don't really, or me as well, don't really know too much about Warhammer besides like the video games. Like there's just the little stories that you get from here and there, but just as a whole in general, it's almost like you're following along, learning with him, and talking about the interviews that he has. Interviews with people who wrote novels, people who make the miniatures, people who are specific on the stories and artists. So just getting a lot of knowledge essentially as the hobby as a whole. And I think, as it says later, and he culminates with him playing a full game of Warhammer from scratch in an unscripted setting, which I think is really cool too.
Yeah, that's wild. Going from absolutely no knowledge to full on participating in the hobby, even if he doesn't, make it a mainstay. But here I like this passage. It says Heater is bullish, brash, even asking blunt questions and firing off his own digressions. It's disarming without being unkind. But when he's distracted by a custom coveted miniature, his interest isn't feigned. He might not understand the hobby, but he's captivated by it. And I think is the perfect type of person to lead this kind of documentary. And looking at some of these pictures of John here, man, I don't think he's aged since 2014. Like he's still looking pretty good.
Well, he's got the beard, which is definitely something he didn't have back in the day, or at least that we saw. But yeah, I think he's not looking bad. But I think a documentary like this is really cool, just like following all stages of like someone who doesn't know anything about it, then growing over time. It's like that big road trip you always wanted to take as a kid, just to figure something out. But he's get to live out the dream essentially.
Yeah, I'm really interested to take a look at this. Apparently, there was an online press screening of the film, and it's going to be on VOD platforms in the future. So keep an eye out for that. Pretty excited to see old Napoleon sit down and roll some dice. And I kind of want to learn for myself because Warhammer's a tough hobby to get into. Like I was saying, it looks really cool from the outside, but that learning curve and even just the financial investment of getting into it seems like a pretty big hill just for your average tabletop gamer, somebody that plays trading card games or D&D. So personally, I'm excited to see this and maybe learn a little bit about Warhammer tabletop myself without having to bother the guys at my local game store.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly. It's definitely everybody has that feeling, especially when you have like these massive setups, elaborate armies and everything. You're like, oh man, that looks, one, it looks like it costs a lot of money, and two, it looks super complicated.
And
So
and 3 looks really fun.
yeah, like I want to be a part of it, but I can't be bothered to talk to people about it.
I just wouldn't know where to begin.
Well, this might be the start for you.
Well, Nibby, kind of a short one today compared to our first episode. Not a ton going on this week. Gonna go on location for a story. We're not gonna give too much more information than that now. Anything else you wanted to wrap up with before we headed out tonight?
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you as always, Goblin. And for the people at home listening to us as well, I hope you had a good time listening to these stories. Hope you have some more discourse you wanted to talk about. Let us know what we're doing bad at. Let us know what we're doing good at. It's always important to talk to us, and we'll listen. So hit us up.